Welcome back to Another Thing. There's a new trend made possible by the internet and the ability for anybody to go live that is troubling to mental health professionals. Live stream suicides. 3 people have killed themselves live on the internet last month, and there is concern that the trend may grow in popularity. Shauna Moses is the Vice President of Public Affairs and Member Services for the New Jersey Association of Mental Health and Addiction Agencies. Shauna, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Why would someone want to commit suicide live on the internet?
I think it's an extreme call for help. I had thought previously that suicide attempts were always done in private. When I tried it myself, it was definitely trying to keep it away from my family and my friends. And so it's very interesting that this whole phenomenon is happening. And
So
I think
let me stop because people are now reacting to you saying, I tried it myself.
Right.
So you don't understand this. You wanted to go off by yourself somewhere because of depression?
Yes, I do have clinical depression. And I believe it was triggered by the suicide of someone very dear to me. Even though my crisis was years later, but it was that plus other factors in my life piling up. And depression or any mental illness makes the brain irrational. And I remember telling myself of all the things wonderful in my life and trying to be happy, and I just couldn't do it. So in that frame of mind, I figured, well, if I can't be happy with all these great things, I never will. I might as well end the pain now and being a burden to my family. Fortunately, some rational thinking kind of snuck in after I had started to cut my wrist, not effectively, fortunately. And then I realized, I can't do this to my family. I really need to get help. And this was about 5 years ago. Still on an antidepressant. I'm not embarrassed to say it. It's just like medication for any other illness.
Because that stigma, it's important to get past that stigma. And if we're looking at these live streamed suicides, so you would imagine somebody's just not getting online and killing themselves. I haven't seen any of them. I don't want to see any of them. But I would imagine that somebody, you said it's a cry for help. So do they want someone to stop them?
Yes. What I've learned from suicide is that the person really does not want to die. They want to end the pain. That's their primary motive. And after, if someone was treatment resistant in a biological way, not in their attitude, and trying so hard to get treated and thinking this is never going to get better, I'm never going to be normal, then they could get to the point where they think suicide is the only way to end the pain.
So in these cases that we're hearing about where people have killed themselves online, there was somebody that saw this and wasn't effective in stopping them. How can we be more effective in stopping this?
The most important thing is to educate people starting from a young age. Most mental illnesses develop by age 14. I think it's 50% by age 14 and 75% by age 25. The brain is still developing up until age 25.
What can somebody do that's online and sees that right there?
I think if someone can respond to that person and somehow get through to them that they are loved, they're valued, their life has meaning, they have a lot to live for. And the Facebook team itself, that staff, is doing a great thing by trying to get police officers or other first responders to a person once such a broadcast is reported to them.
So Facebook is addressing this?
Yes, which is very encouraging.
And a lot of this is because of social media, it sounds like. I mean, some of the depression may be because of social media. And you tell me, you're the expert, is then this attempted suicide online a reaction to what's happening? They're going to the very place that's been the source of some of their depression?
That's very likely. I think it could happen in either way. Even if they don't realize it themselves, subconsciously, it is a way that they're reaching out and they do want someone to stop them from hurting themselves.
So they also could be saying, listen, look what you've done to me.
That could be it
If they're being bullied online, and we're making huge assumptions, I get it, you know, because we don't know in each of the cases. But it does seem to make sense that if you're choosing that forum, there's a reason for that. Would you agree?
Yes, absolutely. I think a lot of people communicate more on social media maybe than they do in person because they feel safe. They're behind some kind of barrier.
Well, it sounds like there's people across the country that are very concerned that this could pick up. Do you share that concern?
I understand and share the concern about suicide contagion. One thing we have to clear up is the myth that talk of suicide or reading about a suicide does not put the thought into the mind of someone who is not already struggling. And that becomes a barrier, that misunderstanding, to bringing education into schools. Suicide is the result of an irrational, unhealthy mind. And I don't mean irrational as an insult, but
No,
that's what the illness does. And the more intervention we can give as early as possible, the better.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being
you.
here. It was a pleasure to
Thank
talk to you. Shauna Moses is the Vice President of Public Affairs and Member Services for the New Jersey Association of Mental Health and Addiction Agencies. When Another Thing continues. An international basketball star shows off her moves at a local high school. Dawn has the story next.